Hey everyone, Ivy Lee Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to talk about artifacts. When you finally get that duplicate, what should you be getting first? Dive deep, battle peek into Season 3 of Dragonheir Silent Gods. If you haven't already downloaded, you can use the link in the description or the pinned comment. It's available on Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, and Epic Games. Brand new season with new synergies, 31 new heroes, so much to do. A new D&D collab will come as well, new maps, new bosses, and lots to explore. And take advantage of the promo codes on the screen. And going on now through April 10th, we have an Easter egg celebration event. Here you'll be able to collect Easter eggs to exchange for some really great rewards. You'll have daily tasks which will earn Easter eggs. You can also gift your friends and they can do so in return to fulfill the ones you're missing for your set of eggs. You can also craft eggs if you find yourself getting a lot of a certain type to get the ones you're missing. We have many days of this event, so don't worry too much about crafting right away. You can earn great rewards with each set of eggs that you collect, like Apprentice Scrolls, Scholar Scrolls, Worm Arrows, Starlight Dye, Heliolite Dye, and a ton of gold and even a super cute emote. Oh, and don't forget to click the bunny for some secret eggs. Alright, and this video is gonna be related to Season 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna talk about the priority of some of the best artifacts in the game and which ones you should be grabbing as soon as you can, which ones can wait, or when are there some special scenarios that you should try to grab a niche one ahead of time. And in case you missed it, check out this video to see why I'm not going to be having my face on the camera most times for a while, and why my voice might sound a little bit different sometimes. And come on into my Discord server to always stay up to date with what's going on with me, the condition, and the baby on the way. So before we talk about the actual artifacts, let me just briefly touch on getting a duplicate hero. When you get a duplicate, you will get a soul imprint. These are the things used to inspire heroes as well. It's the exact same resource. The good thing about inspirations is you can always reset them. So like right now, Rose doesn't really need an inspiration, it doesn't matter, but she's using it anyway because I have it as a placeholder. So I can always get this back, and that's kind of why I have it on her, so I don't accidentally use it getting trigger happy buying artifacts, and I'll explain that in a bit. But just a quick note, the collab heroes like Drista Warden and Elminster Omar, they have a special currency. They do not give you back a in a reset. You get chess pieces, you cannot buy artifacts. So just to make that clear, that's kind of how that works. You cannot buy artifacts with the dupes from them. But you can buy artifacts with the dupes of your legendary heroes here. The dupes of the epics and the dupes of the rares. But for today's video, we're going to talk about legendary specifically because this is a really hot topic. Also, exclusives are a very hot topic. They take 2 soul imprints in order to boost that, or to get one. So for me personally, I have Flora, right? And Flora's exclusive artifact is huge. It is absolutely a massive damage booster. So if I get a dupe Flora, I need her duplicate plus 1 other soul imprint in order to get this exclusive. So that's why I have a random duplicate on a couple heroes in case I get some exclusives that I want to use later, and have a backup soul imprint that I could take from someone's inspirations to do so. So always have that in mind. If you do get lucky enough to pull one of the legendary heroes that have exclusives, then you should probably always have a backup on hand once you've got at least the core 1, 2, 3 most legendary artifacts. I'd argue even after the first one, get Witch's Remains, which we'll talk about, and then hold on to one in case you get that dupe of a game changer. Like if you have Beldel or Ozul is kind of niche for arena and some stuff. He could be pretty good for guild boss or vortex as well, but not necessary. Rook is amazing and has a great exclusive as well. Obviously, Ascetus is a beast. He has a great one. We have Vitar, Thelendor, Luanis, Naschenka, and yeah, a Lothair, Perkunte, and yeah, what's her name? Monleda. So there are special heroes where you gotta always keep in mind that if you get their duplicate, you can't just get the exclusive, you want to get this. I would never use a duplicate hero soul imprint to buy even Witch's Remains. Don't do it, guys. I don't care how desperate you are to get Witch's Remains. It's extremely rare and very hard to pull a legendary hero duplicate that isn't exclusive to begin with, plus get a second one to get their exclusive. So don't do it. I don't care how tempting it is. Hold on to it and make sure you always use the duplicate of an exclusive for their special artifact. There's a reason they're special. But this is what we were talking about. So, this artifact here, Witch's Remains, is by far the #1 choice. I don't think many people would argue this, honestly. If they do, I think they're crazy. I don't care who you're using, like, this is needed for every team. It inflicts defense penalty on targets for 10 seconds. This is a massive damage boost for your whole team. Not just bosses like Vortex, but everywhere you can use this. It helps for arena, it helps for anything. And it's just a really, really important artifact to be able to get defense penalty 2 on your enemies, so that way you can take them out a lot faster. Taking out a big chunk of their defense is a big deal. Even if you just got the epic version, the Crown of Unclean, and you're like, but I already have this one, do I really need the legendary first? Yes, you still do, trust me. Also, you can get away with some fun strategies, which I need to try as well, in Temporal Vortex, where you use both the Crown of Unclean and the Witch's Remains. Both. And you can actually get some pretty good damage. You alternate them and try to keep up the defense penalty 100% of the fight. Big version or small version, at least it's there and it's helping your entire team do more damage. So, Witch's Remains is like the best legendary artifact because it provides this as an AoE. It's a lower chance, 60% chance to inflict it on the target with their ultimate skill. So keep in mind, this means if the person does single target, it's only going to go on one person. If they're like a Vorash, it goes on multiple. So people like Vorash, or I guess Karf is the same thing like Vorash, he hits the whole board 3 times, just like Vorash, right? A really great candidate for Witch's Remains. Anyone like that, especially full board hits multiple times, are really great candidates. You kind of want to stick to those type of people. You also can stick to people like Losenia, that has like this type of thing where they, which like Rava's a good one for this as well, but not for Goblin. But she does damage over time, kind of, I guess you could call it. Like she does her ultimate and it lasts for 6 seconds, proccing every 1 second. Every 1 second for 6 seconds, she has a chance to place her Witch's Remains. So that's just a really, really strong one. New heroes for season 3. We have Whisk. Where the hell is he? So he's gonna be a great damage dealer, but if you have the exclusive, my god, this guy hits 7 times on his ultimate. So that could be a fun one as well. Really, really love that. But he doesn't need accuracy, so you can always try to put that on a support hero. But if you don't have a support hero in your team that you could put this on, that you put Witch's Remains on, someone like him that has a big multi-hitter is really important for that artifact. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of extra time talking about that artifact in particular because, well, there's a reason that that's #1, and it's just a really, really strong choice for any account. So let's go on into my artifacts because there's a reason I have all of them, right? There's a reason. So #1 I would say is Witch's Remains. I don't think there's any question. #2, some people debate between the staff and the hourglass. But I think when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the hourglass I will much prefer over the staff. Now, the Gatekeeper staff plus Garius, we all know this is a busted combo. Garius, the epic defender, he is amazing with this staff. But you can use it on other heroes as well. It still provides defense for any tank or healer. With skill haste as well, the skill haste improves. And the skill haste itself is going to be really helpful to help improve your times for recharging. But that's why I love the Hourglass. The Hourglass just straight up gives 100 skill haste. So if you're putting this on someone who's doing debuffs and needs accuracy, plus you want them to go more often, like I had this on Elminster. If you're trying to time something in a dungeon that is 18-second dungeons, but everyone has 20-second skills, it's really hard to do that, especially early on in any season, or even in later seasons. It's hard. You have to build 2 skill haste sets, which is not always ideal. So this makes it really easy for one person at least to be able to sync with your 18-second bosses. Also, this is overall skill haste too, so it helps the battle skill, which for me, this comes in clutch for Grave of Venom right now, with his battle skill putting up a shield. So that's a good example of why I'm actually using the Hourglass on Elminster sometimes right at the moment. We also should mention that, like, this is great. Incense Burner will help you come to your ultimates faster as well. This will get you to the 18-second timers. For the bosses, like the dungeons where you need the 18-second rotations for skills, and again, it has some accuracy, but that's one person. What if you need to time more than one person? That's where the Hourglass is going to come in really well. And yes, the staff can also help get you there. It's just a little less for the skill haste. But I still think that number 2 is the Hourglass. Number 3, I would say, is Gatekeeper staff. Pretty solid. I don't think there's much debate there. I think between these are the 1, 2, 3 choices. Now, if you are using Garius, you're going to want to use this for sure. It's a game changer, but again, you can use this on other heroes as well. It does bring you skill haste and defense, and anyone that heals, if you have excess healing, it will be converted to a shield. So very, very nice. Love that here. I think the next ones are where it gets a little bit more debatable. So I think with Season 3, the Captain Hook is really good, especially early on. If you pull some dupes early on and you already have a bunch of artifacts, or you're not sure which ones to pick up first, like between some of the more niche ones for ranged or for melee or whatever, this one is really cool because it gives you 50% crit rate straight up, and that's really helpful early on when getting crit rate is actually very difficult early until you're properly farming that legendary gear, but that takes a week or two, right? We don't do that instantly, and at least most people don't, and the people that do already have these artifacts. So this is a huge artifact to help with seasonal starts, I would say, but it doesn't mean you can't use it all the time. I'm always grabbing these artifacts like this to put on other people that just give me crit rate easily. Sometimes I use even the music box just to make crit rate easier on a hero, so I can pump out more crit damage and attack. So this is awesome. We love an extra crit rate, and then when HP is not at full, the wearer deals additional damage. So if you know you're doing battles where you're constantly getting attacks like Fey Meander, Pillar of Trial, or the dungeons, this is going to be great. Probably Vortex as well, you're going to be taking damage. I would say the one place to probably not use this would be Goblin, unless you're just using it for the sake of the attack and crit rate. Because usually in Goblin, the ranged damage dealers are not going to be getting hit. So I think that's a solid top 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be my picks. Alright, so next up here, based on what I have, I am gonna kind of mention these, and then we'll go take a look at the others that I haven't got yet. But I have to say, the organ pipe is just awesome. Especially on someone like, if you're doing like Unkillable and you get a Zephy, you can put that on them and just stack a ton of attack and they just help support the team. But Cinderelle or Gulend or Zarloth, hell, even Vorash if you have someone else in Witch's Remains. This is great. If you have someone who has attack-based healing, like my Cinderelle here, this is going to give him a ton of stats, and he's a ranged hero, so it's going to give him more attack, but all ranged heroes in the team get up to 10% of the wearer's attack. So you just stack a ton of attack on the one person that needs it. Like, you would obviously only put this on someone who is like an attack-based support unit or damage dealer, and or just has no other role besides like the unkillable type stuff, like I mentioned, where it's less important, but like Zephy and Ogak, I mean, for example. But this is so perfect. Like, it's a really, really strong tool to give 10% of the attack to everyone else in the team. Now, it doesn't mean as much right now, although I guess you could say it does because we have a hard time getting stats, but think about this later in the season. You can get 6,000 attack on your heroes, and 10% of that just giving 600 attack to everyone that's ranged in the team. That's huge. In a similar vein, there is also this God of War belt that I think is a very good artifact. The wearer gains up to 6% damage bonus for every melee hero in the team. So if you're using a melee heavy team, like maybe, I don't know, some Dauntless teams have a lot, some rally teams without Filto, or Frost with Dristowarden here, excuse me, and Usha. You might have a couple tanks, you might have a couple other melee damage dealers, I don't know. But this is really cool. I use this on Garthen as well, but she doesn't have to be the one who gets it. Anyone can get this. A ranged person can wear this and take advantage of all the melee units on the team. So like with Ice Blast, I have, you know, like Garius. If you like in season 2, you have Garius, Ardreth, Garthen, and then maybe you had another melee damage dealer or a support unit, you know, like that's a few people to add up. Or, and you hadn't done Pillar of Trial yet to get Ravatrix's Roots, which this is a Pillar of Trial artifact, so you can't choose to get that with a duplicate, so we're not going to talk about that. Or this for those reasons, or this because it's Arena. But yeah, this is all about melee units. The more melee units in the team, the better. This was actually really fun for Season 2 Endgame Boss as well, because it allowed you to take advantage of like a team that was very melee heavy for the Mechatork, and take advantage of at least one person wearing this belt to make a ton of damage bonuses times every person on the team. Like, I had teams that had all melee, although one of that was messy because Drist and his Panther got in the way, so I kind of had to take one out. But even still, 5.4% times 4 people, that's 20 point, well, that's more. that's great increased damage bonus overall, plus just the attack you get up here, right? It's a lot. So those are kind of my favorites. Now, up here, oh, sorry, I forgot the horn. Oh my gosh. I forgot the horn, guys. So the horn, this would probably be number 5 or number 4. Debatably, number 5 or number 4 with the horn. So the horn is really great because defense and HP, this is just great to put on any tank, period. It's giving them great stats. And then if the tank is someone like Ardreth who does some healing, that's going to help to increase the allies' damage by whatever when they're healed. So it's obviously best for someone like an Acilia that is pumping out a ton of heals, because up to 3 stacks if you heal multiple times in a row. This is like an Acilia, or Furboth is another great one to wear this because he heals everybody. But yeah, this is really great. I would say Acilia, Furboth, and Ardreth are really great for this Solar King's Horn. Just for the stats, and then of course the actual buff that it gives your allies. This is awesome. That was my 3rd artifact purchased, I think. Actually, no, 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would say. And then maybe 6, 7 if you know you use a lot of melee. And then there's the niche stuff, right? So if you're using Dristowarden or Oster and have, or like Vitar but don't have her exclusive, this Ring of Winter is really good. Deals damage to, when they deal damage to enemies under frost, you get extra stuff. Really strong. If you're doing a wild team for Vortex, this ring is really great, especially on someone like Erich, who does successful wild checks like crazy once he gets rolling. Erich kind of ramps up over time, and the more he gets into the battle, the higher his success rate, and he's a top tier damage dealer for Vortex alongside of like a Flora team. If you have Flora, you're gonna go Flora, Erich, and Tunnelon, and this artifact would be a great choice. If that's the case, so like stuff like this, niche stuff, Ring of Winter. If you have a strong Frost team, this ring, if you have a Wild team, I would buy these instead of like these kind of niche ones, because they're so huge to really help that team if it's a team that you're really strongly focusing. So keep that in mind as well. Now, Flora and the fan is great, but I don't think it's as necessary. It did boost my damage by 1 million or so early game, so it's definitely good, but you can certainly get by with the Vile Ink just fine for quite a while. You just have to remember you cannot crit. So ironically, my Flora, this allows you to crit. And one of my best Enlightenment substat gloves right now in the Enlightenment set for Flora is a crit rate glove. So you know what? This fan made a big difference. My Flora can actually crit with her passive and her other skills, so derivative damage can't crit, but her other skills can at least crit. So that's kind of fun too. I keep that in mind. This is just this is a really good upgrade from the Vile Ink, but it's not necessary if you have other heroes that are more important. Like I'd probably actually get like the wild stuff before I would get this as an example. All right, so now I have one more here that I haven't talked about. That's Drugo's Blast Jar, and that's just because I really don't use it. Like I thought I would use it more. And it's helpful, it gives a little extra damage. And it's okay, but I don't know, I find myself never using this. Like I feel like I would prefer to use this if I can, if it's someone that does healing. I guess if I needed someone that excuse me. If I just needed stats on someone that doesn't do any healing to get this or this would be another great choice. But that's kind of a debate, right? But alright, so far I've talked about everything. We are talking PvE only if it hasn't been clear. I'm not worrying about arena right now. There's a lot of really niche uses for specific artifacts in arena that is a whole nother discussion, honestly. But I wanted to bring in some of the thoughts of our newer artifacts along with these to see which ones maybe I should be getting next, for example, or what other niches would you buy these? So, I would say, if you're going Ice Blast, Blooms of Prina is really good. You can put this on someone like Sheena, if you're going to use Ravatrix's Roots on a Garthen. If you have Beldel, but you don't have her exclusive, the Blooms for Beldel is very good as well, so that's something to consider too, to try to get this is for your team. I see a lot of people using the Great River Lamp on Nastyjenka, as we like to call her. She is very good for this as well, and definitely can take advantage of these. If you're going a strong Dauntless team, these are pretty good artifacts. Although, to be fair, the Epic Goblet is just really good for the extra attack speed and everything with the basic attacks, and that, like, I always see Theraval being used with that, and that's how I use my Theraval, so I never ended up buying these. Alright, on to the wings. If you are gonna go with Aura, the wings are very good, very, very helpful, especially if you get the exclusive hero but you don't get her artifact. This is gonna be a strong choice. And this is where the kind of, I would say, these more niche ones, like the ones I got, like the Flute of the King for Filto, if you get lucky and get Filto, Filito Go Boom. If you get lucky with that, then these ones could maybe go in your like 4th or 5th, maybe 6th spot of what you would choose in a row for getting an artifact from your duplicates. There are some pretty good new ones for corrosion as well, so just keep in mind if you do go a very specific thing for like Vortex that you find very powerful, the artifacts can make a big difference. So the Corrosion Toadstool, I think, is another strong one. Poison-wise, I can't decide which one I like better for poisons. I think it depends on what you're using. But poison comps are pretty hard to run overall, the regular poison debuff. I'm not a fan of either one of them. I'm not a fan of poison teams, period. But if you have the perfect heroes, then maybe you would be using them as well, like a Lothair plus some others to boost. So that's a debate. I honestly don't have an opinion on which one of those are better myself. When it comes to support, for our healers, like someone like an Ogok maybe, the Camel Bells is very good. I have seen this used quite a lot in Arena, but I have also seen it used in Vortex. So this is something to consider if you're looking for another healer artifact to try, but there's so many good ones, it's really hard to debate, honestly. Especially when you have stuff like the horn and the staff. I mean, this is just these are so good to boost your team. But you could definitely get the Camel Bells as well. I think this is a solid choice. Also, this is interesting too with attack plus crit rate, really strong here. Gain extra crit damage for each enemy around them. This is a really good, I guess this is more of an arena thing, but would be good in something like say Meander or Pillar of Trial. So keep that in mind if you're looking for, if you have a ton of artifacts and you're looking for something else fun to buy that can make building your characters a lot easier with crit rate and crit damage, and you know you're really needing a big damage dealer, that this is more of a melee unit, you know, because it's enemies around them. So another option for a melee damage dealer is definitely this Torque. It's pretty cool, that like collar. The other ones from season 3, I guess we should probably call out here. I guess would be this one, Holy Acorn, because this is another strong healing artifact that goes with enlightenment. So for people like Acilia that heal with enlightenment and HP, it increases their healing effect by 20% and they gain skill haste. And it's based on the heal or the HP of allies as well, so like even more. But this is a really good one that has been added for this season. It could be a little bit of PvE or PvP, but honestly a lot of the newer artifacts are more PvP focused, so I'm really not going to talk about them. That's a whole other niche that deserves its own video, so I wanted to kind of separate them as well. This, although, I have to say, this Needles one, it feels like a PvP one, but I've been so curious about it. This random chance to just boost their ultimate energy 80% after they release their ultimate and come right back to it. I've always wanted to try this, but I feel like there's so many more necessary artifacts, like Witch's Remains with for accuracy, or some others that you would benefit more from, that I haven't tried this yet, but I feel like this has a huge potential for some big damage boosts. More of a arena thing, but I'm so curious in something like Vortex how this would perform. So if anybody has used the needles in something like Vortex, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I think that kind of covers the key ones. Again, there's lots of new fun ones that you can certainly take advantage of. Luckily, in Season 3, we also got a really good new epic artifact as well, but the decisions to purchase legendary ones really come down to the core team you're using, and if you decide you need something more niche to make that core team amazing, which is totally worth it, honestly. But just don't lose sight of the important ones to get first that are more versatile. Witch's Remains, the Hourglass, and the Gatekeeper Staff, I would say, are a strong top 3. Probably the Horn number 4. And then we dive into like the more niche things like these for number 5. Yeah, I think that's probably even better. I think I might even say the Horn still above this, but it depends on what you need for your roster. It depends on who you're using for your main teams of like Vortex or pushing something hard like Grave of Venom. But I think that kind of covers it. I hope this video was helpful, guys. Sorry it was a longer one. I really wanted to discuss. There's a lot more to talk about again. This is amazing. This is sounded like it should be amazing, but it isn't. Like, there's so many we could talk about here. I didn't cover all of them, but that's because they're a little bit more niche or more for PvP. But let me know some of your favorite artifacts in the comments below. Are there some others that I missed that you think are necessary for some teams? Are there certain synergies that you were really surprised with and that really impressed you with the legendary artifacts? Let me know, and I will see you in the next video. And if you haven't already, be sure to download Dragonheir Silent Guides now using the link in the description or the pinned comment. It's available on Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, and Epic Games.